Hi everyone, my name is Erik Malmkvist, Head of Service Support Solution at Scania R&D. We are a small team conducting concept development and research activities in order to improve workshop efficiency and workshop operation.
Yes, and my name is Staffan Persson. I'm heading a group called Operational Data and Analysis and work a lot with connected vehicle data and analysis and services based on that.
So today we will, as Staffan said, we'll zoom out a bit. These are the topics that we will address. First off is our industry itself and the transformation it stands for. So that's really high scope. And then we go into how we utilize the data that we have at hand at Scania, give you some sort of insight into the services that we provide to our customers. And then also we touch upon future challenges that we see it. So, transport industry transformation. This is part of transformation, I think, the whole, not only the transport business, but also the personal transport, personal car industry stands in front of, going for. So these are the actual technology enablers that we see will affect the business. We see the electrified vehicle, the autonomous vehicles, and also the connected vehicle as part of that transformation. And going from a diesel engine to an electrified vehicle will give us great opportunities to really supply and deliver sustainable transports, but still with the flexibility that we have with a truck or a bus today, compared to, for example, a train. And this is a transaction, if you look into the history of us as a company and also as the business itself, we've been delivering trucks and buses with diesel combustion engines for more than 100 years. So this is some sort of a transaction into new technology areas. And also for the autonomous vehicle, when we start to replace the actual driver with software, hardware, etc., that will also give us other opportunities than what we have today in order to really optimize the vehicle itself, for example, and also minimize, for example, accidents. And then getting to the connected vehicle, which is really a big part of this transaction. When we can connect to our products, we can collect the data, then we can also analyze the data, and then we can also optimize the product itself. But in this perspective, we want to optimize more than the product. We want to optimize the actual system or where the product operates in, so to say. And when we have all these three enablers in place, then we have a great platform in order to really deliver sustainable transports and even sustainable transport solutions, I would say. And these are buzzwords in the industry. I would say it's almost like a race to the moon in the industry. So the first one who can really supply this platform to the customers are winning the race, I would say. And part of this transaction has already taken place under the surface, at least in our company.
Yes, and we've been working with connectivity for quite a long time, starting in 2002, connecting the first vehicle. And in 2009, we decided to make a more industrialized platform that we standardized in 2011, so connecting basically all our trucks. So we have, and here comes a visualization of the soon of the starting places for connected Scania trucks globally since 2012. And we are collecting some different kind of data from these vehicles. It's position data, it's data about the driver behavior, data about the operation of the vehicle. And currently, I think if we look at the 5-year fleet, here we have 200,000 vehicles in the end. And if you look at our 5-year fleet, we have about 70% connected. The vehicles going out today is more over 90% connected. On top of this also, we have a lot of data that is stored internally in the software or in the electronic control units. And there we have virtually thousands of variables describing the usage and the operation of the truck for about 750,000 vehicles. That's about 90% of our rolling fleet. So we already have a lot of data. So that's where we stand today. And why are we thinking about why do we need to change? Well, this picture kind of, okay, it's a clear message in a way that these different manufacturers is actually making pretty much the same product. And the difference is getting smaller and smaller. If we improve the fuel consumption with 3%, that's actually a smaller number in absolute numbers. And that actually represents a smaller, profit increase for the customer. So we cannot reduce fuel consumption with 3% forever and still have a competitive advantage. So we see that over time, these vehicles are actually becoming a commodity. Also, we have a long tradition, and the long tradition is really doing the same thing over and over again. So we have a challenge and we do a truck, and we have a new challenge and we do a new truck. And the only problem is we don't really know what the next steps are. We know there won't be a truck or a bus, it will probably be a truck and a bus, but it has to be something more, a solution containing something else. And we're not actually completely sure of where this is heading. Also looking where we stand today when it comes to utilizing data at Scania. And a lot of that is actually about what Daniel was talking about in the beginning, about actionable data. And for us, it's really about making action. So to do action, we need actionable data. One example is our driver services. And this is really doing something different for affecting the customer profitability and the fuel consumption. It's addressing one of the most important factors affecting fuel consumption, that's actually the driver. And in order to do that, what we need to do is to change the behavior of the driver. That's really how we can affect the fuel consumption. And this is a really good example of taking action, because it's a change of behavior, and in order to change that behavior, we need something that really influences that behavior, something that's actionable. And the way we do it is starting at the left, is doing some instant feedback in the vehicle at the time of event, giving some feedback, was this a good behavior or a bad behavior. Then we also enable for the fleet company to evaluate their entire fleet and entire group of drivers, to evaluate to see what they can do, how they can improve. But then we also provide a service to the customer, to the driver directly, which is a driver coaching service. And here it's really important we need to evaluate the driver in such a way so that we can suggest, recommend an action that actually makes sense to the driver. So we have to make it actionable. And really how we do that is to understand which behaviors is important, and somehow we have to tell the driver, okay, this behavior is the most important behavior for you to work on. In order to do that, we have to know what the potential to improve. So we have to compare the driver to something else. So the way we do that is to use all the drivers that we have in the systems to use that as a reference. And then we have to know which of the drivers are actually comparable to each other. So we need to cluster these drivers in some kind of comparable area. And within that cluster, set a scoring or a grade system. What is a good behavior and what's a bad behavior in this cluster? And by that we can identify what a specific driver should improve and what is the potential improvement. Yes.
I skip this then. It's my turn.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Scania maintenance flexible plans. This is also part of the connected vehicle platform. Historically, we've been testing components to see how long they last. Now we have the opportunity to really look into every single individual and how they operate and tailor a maintenance program to fulfill that specific need. Instead of trying to test every type of specification in every type of operation, that's more or less a work that's not possible. So using the information that we get from the connected vehicle, together with other data sources that we have at hand, for example, from our workshops, repair history, etc., we combine that into really tailoring a maintenance plan for the vehicle. So on the top part there, we have the so-called periodic maintenance schedule, and that is more or less based on the testing that we have done so far. But using the actual data from the vehicle and how it operates gives us the possibility to really tailor it to the customer need. Therefore, instead of saying that you need to get to the workshop at this point because it says so in the book, then we can tailor it to that specific customer need, saying that I want to be in the workshop these dates and for this period of time. And then we can distribute different components depending on what the customers say. And that will give the customer more uptime, and the product will be in use more, which will then give them the possibility to increase their revenues instead of standing at the workshop for maintenance. That's not necessarily really the case for that specific individual. And that's also that's also part of giving the actual workshop leads to what they should do and when they should do it, instead of just providing data.
And I think this example, I mean, the flexible maintenance too, what really we learned from that is that making this happen, we need to become a data-driven company, and that has changed everything. We didn't understand this when we did the technology development, that we actually have to change the behavior and the processes at every single workshop technician globally in order to actually make use of this to the customer. So I really want to stress, for us, it's really, really important this to understand is how do we get actionable and actually learn to act on it, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. And it actually puts a lot of constraints on what kind of models and data science you can actually base this on. This is another example making use of data. It's a lead generator. What it does is that it generates leads to our sales organization. So we go through our entire customer fleet. We look at what kind of vehicle the customer have, what operation they have on the performance of the vehicle. And based on that, we can calculate, okay, which vehicles for a certain market are the ones, the customers that have the biggest potential of improvement. If they buy a new vehicle, how much fuel can they save, basically? Yes.
Questions so far? Oh,
You're doing that.
Fantastic.
There's a lot of questions.
How do you avoid the EU Data Protection Act that will come into use soon? Are you sharing personal data to other users of the system?
Are you asking us on the record or off record? Because it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Basically, no. I mean, no to everything. Of course, it affects everything. Of course, this is really important. But this is kind of shifting, I think, a little bit over time. Privacy used to be, over the last year, has been really, really big issue. But I think over just the last year or so, I think we're sensing a shift when people start to understand that privacy cannot be the only thing that we look at. For instance, look at taxation, for instance. For building a good society, we pay tax. you don't have the freedom not to pay tax, because you need to do it in order to have a good society. If you want to improve traffic safety and these kind of issues, and we say that we can do that if we collect data from people, I'm not sure that if you look 10 years away, people will have the option to say no. But even saying that, we still have to have really good control of our data, and we need to know exactly who uses the data and for what. And this is one of the reasons why, when we look at the Internet of Things kind of movement, we're quite convinced that the OEMs or the vehicle manufacturer will still be in the center of this data, because that's the only way for us to control how the information from the customer is actually used. So, as you heard, I could talk lengthy about it.
Yeah.
I will stop there.
Truck driver, the most common occupation in most US states due to large trade-off.
Slower and clearer, of course, yeah, no problem. Truck driver, the most common occupation in most US states due to large trade over state borders. Huge change to convert into autonomous. The short answer to that is we don't sell trucks in the US.
But I think there too.
But
Maybe you want to answer?
You can continue.
I can answer.
Yeah.
No, but the way we kind of present this is that we don't remove the drivers. We change the occupation of the driver. It will take a long time before we remove the drivers, generally. But they will do other things, and they will have a different role, a more advanced role. That's, I think, how most people view it.
Yeah.
At least that's what we say.
Yeah.
But IBM said it's 20 years away, or 10 years or something like that.
Have you faced resistance internally when moving to new business models? Who is in charge of the change?
Oh, no.
Is anyone from Scania here, or who's typing the questions?
There's no resistance.
No?
It's futile. Who is in charge of the change? So that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes, there's a lot of resistance. Yes, change is hard. It's the short answer.
And also it affects our business model to its core, I would say. Going back 75 years or 100 years up to now, we've been selling products, trucks and buses, and now selling something else. It's a huge change within the company. It's not free of friction, so to say.
We are also we are a very proud company, and a lot of people have worked their entire life at Scania, and it's a very special company. It's a unique company. It's the only Scania in the world. And when we do other stuff or start to work in other ways, it's no longer the same company. And I think there's a lot of emotions involved. That's my feeling. There's a lot of emotions involved with that. So it's not only a rational decision or unwillingness to change, it's also strong feelings about what we have. I don't know, maybe we should, yeah. I think going back to the presentation doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. We have 2 more minutes or something. So, if the transport company follows the flexible service plan, and who will pay for loss or breakdown? VOR, vehicle of road. I would say we connect, for the vehicles that we have in the flexible maintenance program, we connect that to our repair maintenance contracts, and also seeing going forward, possibly into an uptime contract as well. So that's where we share costs between us and the customer. I would say that's the best way to put it. How to drive heavy vehicle not to destroy the road? No. Yeah. So you sense that people will accept use of personal data. What does the unions say? Ooh. That's... I think we're out of time, actually.
No, yeah. It's an interesting question. Like in Germany, it's the hardest country when it comes to this, and the union is really strong, and the data protection is really strong. I mean, but you make a contract with the company, and then you're fine. I mean, they are working for a company, so I think our problem is actually smaller. The union has a lot to say about this, but I think they we will work around this. It's an important, but I don't see it as, it's not a showstopper.
No.
We had a point, I think, in the presentation, but it's lost now.
Yes, this turned into more of a discussion than a
more
complete presentation, but that's great, actually. So shall we take one final question up there before we move on to the next presenter?
Actually, a technical question. If we have vehicles that are connected, and you probably connected with others system as well, that is in the system. And if we have a system, then we have a good opportunity to build an ecosystem that could be actually a good opportunity for new business cases for you, as well as business cases for third parties. So
Yes.
I'm just wondering if you think already about that, or what is the planning?
Absolutely. It's just we were touching upon that coming to this picture, actually. What you say is how we will make business out of the connected vehicle system, moving that into a connected ecosystem, how we will make business out of that. And also with the history that we have as a company, and also who should we collaborate with, team up with, in order to build knowledge within the company and also to supply different and new types of services. So that's a huge challenge for us. But also it's a challenge that really comes with great opportunities as well. So it's, I think it's a joint work that needs to be done. It's nothing that we can do on ourselves.
All right, so Staffan, Erik, thank you for an excellent presentation and a great discussion.
Thank you for having us.
Let's thank the speakers again.
Thank you.